Hey everyone, it's Lachlan here. Hey, a common problem we have around finances is that we avoid them. We try not to look at our situation because we either don't like it or we don't understand it. And finances are complex, let's be real. They don't teach you mortgages or cash flow or super at school. And things are just getting more complex. Plus, it's a mental game. We're experiencing fear, we're experiencing things like loss aversion, self doubt, and all kinds of frustrations and emotions. So it's no wonder why we sometimes avoid our own financial world that we live in. So today we're going to look at just that. We're going to give you a 3-step plan to re-engage your finances. You're listening to Mind Over Money, presented by Waymaker Finance. Archie, help! My finances are a headache. Cue dramatic music. So, Archie, what is this podcast title about? We had someone actually kind of say this to us this week, didn't we?
Oh, look, it's very common for us to feel that, finances are difficult. It's a headache. We're avoiding them because, we're not happy with them. We're not happy that we don't understand. So, there's issues around finances. And, the old saying that we have there too is, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. And it's so easy to do with finances. Something really small can cause us so much problems.
Yeah. And we think that avoiding it, the problem will go away, but often it just makes it worse, either in our head or sometimes we really do create a mountain of pain because we've been avoiding things.
The reason that we're doing this episode today is that right now there is a mountain full of fear that's coming through the system. And it's partly due to the environment we're in. And there's a lot of change happening. So, we think about interest rates going back up. Wow, we haven't seen that for a while. We're seeing petrol prices go up. We're seeing jobs changing. There's so much stuff going on. And, we do have issues around change. And we think, the world can be coming to an end because everything's changed or something has changed. And it's just the way we're processing it. And there's always an upside. Like what we're seeing lots of negative stuff, and the media is feeding on negativity. But there's always an upside. Every time change comes through, there's an upside to it. And we've just got to find what that upside is.
We often don't see it until later. Sometimes a long time later, but it is there. We just don't see it in the moment. COVID's brought that as well. We look back now about a year sort of out of the lockdowns and we can start to see all the upsides that came from the pandemic, around how we go to work, where we commute, health technology, just relationships in general. What have you seen?
Well, I like gardening, so I've really noticed a lot of gardening shows, really taken off. Seed sales have gone through the roof because people are right back into gardening, growing vegetables. I was just talking to someone today. They've set up a whole hydroponic system in their backyard for growing their veggies.
Whoa. Wow. Yeah, I've noticed that as well. Even in the city where I am, there's gardens in people's backyards popping up everywhere. So rejuvenation of hobbies, that's a big one. People are talking about getting back into sports they haven't got into in a while and, woodwork and crafts and all kinds of things. So COVID has a lot of negative effects, but there's lots of upsides that have come from this massive change we've been through. Yeah.
Well, you got to meet all your neighbours through COVID.
Yeah.
When people are in lockdown and they're in the backyard and they're gardening and, you end up catching up with each other, even having a beer over the fence.
We were having beers in the street. Just don't tell the local authorities that. No, it was great. We moved in just when COVID started, and we did get to meet all of our neighbours. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so our finances, if we're feeling like they're a headache, and we're feeling like we've been avoiding our finances, this episode we're going to give you a 3-step plan to re-engage, to refocus on your finances, and take action. So, Archie, this 3-step plan, what is the first step?
First step's always finding what motivates you. And so it could be buying a home. It could be moving out of your parents' basement.
It's a good motivation. Get out of the parents' home.
I don't know. Sometimes it can be pretty good living at the parents' home.
Depends what they're charging you on rent, I guess.
Yeah. But being able to retire well, so we're starting to see a lot more people interested in being able to retire well. And what retirement's going to look like. Like, I had some clients this year just got so excited about their retirement because they suddenly realized they had all these options that they didn't think were there. And so, it's totally changed their life and the whole way they're living because they got the motivation and they just started going down that path.
So previously retirement would have been seen as like the last maybe third of your life. But now we could live to we're 100. Who knows? My generation. So if we retire early, it could be half our life.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, we've also got people retiring at age 55 and 60. And so potentially half their life is ahead of them.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's also, starting a family. What's that look like? That can be a real motivator to make changes that need to be made.
Yeah.
And to focus on your family. Starting a business, being able to work through the cash flow of starting a business. No one's motivated to do cash flow until there's a reason.
Yeah. And that's the key. We've got to find what motivates us. You have to find what's going to get me out of bed every day. What am I going to be passionate to change about my life? And I guess that's where the cash flow comes in because, as you said, no one's motivated to do cash flow, to set up a system and manage their cash, but it is the key to unlocking all of those things that you're motivated. And so we've tried to make cash flow a lot easier, a lot simpler, and more fun because we've gamified it. And that's part of what we do in our advocacy program. But yeah, find what motivates you.
Sometimes our motivation can be quite negative. It could be that our mortgage is killing us, literally, because, we're just under the pump financially. And so that's a good motivator, get in and sort it out. Because it is a good motivator to get us moving. So it could be negative, but whatever it is, that's what you got to grab hold of and, use that motivation to get some change happening.
Actually, to add in one more, I've seen young guys saving for a wedding ring, an engagement ring, I should say. I've seen young guys who haven't been interested in doing anything with their finances, and then all of a sudden there's a special lady and they want to buy a special ring. And mate, you see that the sparkle in their eyes, they get going. They have found motivation. And it's amazing because it only takes one thing and then you can roll that momentum into changing other things because you'll find that next thing to motivate you to keep going. Yeah, so if we're avoiding our finances, it's probably because we haven't really clarified what that motivation is to change. And so we're just sort of in default, we're just letting things sit. We're not doing anything or we're not looking at it or we're avoiding it. And so we need to find the motivation and get back into engaging. What's step number 2? What's the second part of this plan?
This is where step number 2 is really important because it's about getting some people around you. If we're struggling, we're often struggling alone, and so we don't even know what that motivation is sometimes. But once we get people around us who start to work with us, then we can actually find out, hey, I've actually got a motivation for this thing that I didn't even know I had a motivation for. So I've often picked up in people that they've got a motivation to get that mortgage sorted because it's a big pain in their butt. And, once we work things out, that's their key focus is to get that debt off their back. For other people, it's retirement. But if you got other people helping you out, other people working with you, so we call it a support team, then suddenly, we can overcome, the fears that are coming through, fear of loss, fear of missing out, fear of being ripped off. There's lots of fears, but we got people to help us move us past those points, and and get us going and find that motivation that we need.
Because when we're on our own, sometimes we do make a mountain out of a molehill, and when we have someone that comes alongside who's maybe been through that before, who has that experience, they go, "Oh no, that's all right. You can do this. You can change this. Look, we've got the tools, we can help. All of a sudden, that mountain does go back to becoming a molehill, and you just step right on and get past that thing. So we need other views. We need other perspectives than our own. We don't know what we don't know. And so sometimes we just don't understand. And so we just need someone who understands to help us understand as well. So we can take that step and get past our assumptions as well. We have all these assumptions that are these, veils that hold us back. And boy, do they cost us.
Yeah. Assumptions really do cost us, which we've got an episode on. so we don't need to cover
go
that
back
one
and
here.
Listen to that.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so step 1 was find what motivates you. Step 2, create your support team. What's step 3?
Focus on one thing and do it. So we really can only focus on one thing. And it's got to be that one motivating thing that we want to focus on. And so if we haven't done anything in the last 12 months around our finances, then we really need some help to get going. And we need that focus and that accountability, from our support team to get in and get something happening. And through doing one thing, it'll build confidence and it'll roll into the next thing.
Yep.
And I see this over and over that, we get one thing done, and one thing happening, and all of a sudden we're moving into the next thing.
Yeah, people get excited when there's momentum. They're like, whoa, what else can we achieve? Let's keep going. You actually create this new dopamine, and you get addicted to that. You actually want to achieve more of that positive experience that you're happening. Like we were talking about this. I think we talked about this in the last episode about when you get rid of the debt and install a cash flow system and you start saving towards things and buying things, you don't want to go back. Yeah. Now that you've experienced those positive emotions around your finances, the joy that comes with that cash flow system, you don't want to go back to the old system of debt, confusion, credit. You want to keep going forward and start achieving more things now that you've had that win. So I guess part of the support team is to celebrate those wins. You got to have people you can celebrate the wins with.
That's it. The other thing about having a team, a support team, is that, it develops serotonin. And serotonin actually helps us to have trust and to actually have confidence and to see a better future. And so they're key things that are coming through.
Oh, I so agree. I've always believed that it's relationships in which we transform. And the more we engage relationships and we build trust with others, we in turn have confidence, but we really do transform. And we achieve so much more, and our lives are so much more balanced and stable when we have other people with us. Yeah. Anyway, I digress.
No, that's part of this. And this is where we break things into a 90-day cycle, because we can achieve a lot in 90 days, much more than we think we could. And quite often, if we've got a year goal, we often overestimate what we think we can achieve in a year, and we often underestimate what we can achieve in 90 days. And so, I love being able to get in there and help people and see what happens in that 90 days, because, there's some pretty amazing stuff that happens.
Yeah, and if anyone disagrees with me, I would just point you back to your New Year's resolutions. Because how are they going?
Hang on, this year's New Year's resolutions.
Well, we've got the next year coming up, but what were the ones you said at the start of this year, or I guess the start of last year? Yeah. Because I'm looking at some of mine, going, I definitely overestimated what I could achieve in a year. However, we do underestimate what we can achieve in 90 days. So that we do in Waymaker, in our advocacy program, we do focus on 90-day cycles, because the research is there. It shows us that we can really achieve a lot in a couple of months.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's step number 3. Focus on one thing and do it. So Archie, using this 3-step plan, what is the key takeaway from today's thought?
Yeah, look, the key takeaway is we're being bombarded with negativity and fear at the moment. And so now's the time, while you're listening to this podcast, is, take a step back and, start to ignore all that fear and negativity and think, am I avoiding my finances? Am I avoiding the headache that I see, with my finances? And am I avoiding the complexity? Am I avoiding doing anything, because of how I feel about my finances? then now's the time to step in and get some support. Get some help.
Yeah.
And, start finding that motivation, start finding, the good that's going to come through all of this change that's happening. And, let that good be part of your world.
I love that. And that's what we do at Waymaker. We do financial advocacy. And what that means is we come alongside you. We help you get your finances sorted so that you can have confidence and control, and you can have finances that work for you. So if you're feeling like your finances aren't working or they need to work, that's a good clue is if you're avoiding your finances, then talk to our team. We've got a link in the show notes. You can schedule a free call. We would love to help you engage your finances and take action and move forward. All right, Archie, that was a really great discussion. Thank you. If you have any feedback, praise, comments, questions about the show or for the show you'd like answered, please email us. The link is in the show notes, or there's an online form as well. The link is in the show notes, waymakerpodcast.com.au. That's where you can get financial help. That's where you can leave us a message about the show. We would love that, and we would love your rating and review of the show as well. Okay, well, thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you again next week. Thanks, Archie.
Thanks, Lachlan. And a big shout out to Tamara for doing a great job in the podcast last week. And for the Christmas podcast, it was so good.
Yeah, if you missed last week's episode, go back, episode 26. Get ready, Christmas is coming. We give you some tips of how to shop and gift well. It's a nice, short, 15-minute podcast. We'll get you sorted for Christmas. Don't miss it. Thanks, Archie.
Thanks, mate. This podcast is for education purposes only and does not consider your personal financial goals or situation. If you'd like to speak to someone about your financial situation, head to the waymakerpodcast.com.au and click Get Financial Help to get connected to one of our wealth partners.